And this morning I want to talk about Toronto's future. Toronto's future really is growing at our waterfront, at our water's edge. And that's that large, derelict, underutilized old industrial land just minutes from downtown. And the opportunity is not only for growth and redevelopment, but literally a chance for Toronto to redefine itself, to become Toronto the Great, not just Toronto the Good. And for decades, and I sometimes say almost going back to Lord Simcoe's day, we've had numerous starts and stops and studies going on for years in developing our waterfront. And really not much has happened. There's been people with good ideas and intentions. I guess back in the 70s we had a short period where the harbourfront area was redeveloped, but it really took another 20 years to get serious about revitalizing our waterfront. And Waterfront Toronto, legally known as the Toronto Waterfront Revitalization Corporation, was the result of that support and commitment from the governments. The three orders of government established a task force back in the late 90s to try to figure out how to operationalize it and make it finally happen. And a leading recommendation really was to establish a separate independent agency to lead the redevelopment and be the master planner for redeveloping Toronto's waterfront. So we were established in 2001 by the three orders of government to oversee all aspects of planning and redevelopment of the waterfront. And certainly revitalizing Toronto's waterfront is no simple task. It's the largest urban renewal project in Canada, if not the Western world. It's about 2,000 acres, or 800 hectares. That's huge. It's roughly the size of downtown Toronto, from Bloor down to Front Street and Bathurst over to Sherbourne. It's an area 4 times the size of Monaco. It's an area equal to the size of Vancouver when you pull, downtown Vancouver when you pull Stanley Park out. It's a huge project. Bob mentioned $17 billion was the total investment expected in 1999. That's probably about $25 billion, given the escalation we've had to date in the hard costs of construction. But the immense scale and scope means it really has an important opportunity to play in having an impact on the future of Toronto, Ontario, and Canada. This is an area that will house 40,000 residential units, 10 million square feet of commercial space, entertainment, retail, cultural, and so forth. But our waterfront revitalization, what we call our new Blue Edge, will have the ability to leverage an infrastructure project into a catalyst for economic and social renewal. And I use the words revitalization, not redevelopment. You don't need an agency like ours to just sell real estate. Just put a sign up and it'll sell by itself. Revitalization is much more about being driven by a public policy agenda. So we're committed to design excellence. We really want to see this design excellence. We have set new standards for architecture and public spaces. We have 4 of the top 10 landscape architects in the world currently working on projects in Toronto's waterfront. We've created, I think, the country's 3rd design review panel, the first in Toronto, and that panel is expected to contribute to a culture of quality by raising the bar for architects, designers, and developers. Our plan calls for over 90 parks and parkettes across the waterfront. And we're leading revitalization with our public space. We're building the parks first. And our West Donlands and East Bayfront will each have 25% of the land area dedicated to park and public space. In order to provide quality of place, our communities also must be sustainable. And we're working to deliver a Blue Edge that features sustainable communities. Communities that meet today's needs without compromising the future. Our plans are bold, and we actually see ourselves as agents of market transformation. And sustainability, first and foremost, means environmental sustainability, and our new Blue Edge will be green. We're using leadership in energy and environmental design as our benchmark. It's a third-party system. It's becoming internationally known, and we're setting LEED Gold as our target for building construction. We're also participating in the U.S. Building Council's pilot for LEED neighborhoods. So we want to really strive to ensure our community is seen as LEED Gold. We'll also feature district energy for the heating and cooling needs of the community. So that's a system whereby you have a thermal source in one location, a central plant, and you heat and cool water and deliver it through a 4-pipe system to every building in the community. That reduces the cost of energy, lowers emissions, and more importantly, it's what I call it future-proofs the community. So you can actually change the source of energy at the head end without disrupting your consumer. So you can go from gas-fired boilers to cogeneration to biothermal to biodiesel rather, biomass, and so forth. Sustainable communities also promote and enable the use of public transit. And we have a transit-first approach. We think to deliver on our sustainability agenda, we have to change people's habits. I think people will change their habits when they move their job or move their residence. So for us, it's important that the track, the LRT rail lines, be there early so that when people move there, they have a choice. They don't need to buy that second car or the first car or the parking spot. And so by having the rail there early, It allows us to hopefully change the modal split and convince people to change their habits at a key time. Residences all will be within a 5-minute walk of transit stops. We'll have reduced parking standards, and our transit EAs are already underway. Not only are we working to ensure that our communities are sustainable, but we're trying to do it in a sustainable fashion. We're adopting a no dig and dump approach. So we're trying to ensure that this land, which is heavily contaminated, is reused in the area, it's treated, and we're building a soil management facility to treat the soil as best we can, to reuse that soil as part of the project. Now, I can't look after all the soil. There's things that have to be taken away, but about 97% we think we can reuse in the project. Sustainability also means delivering a community that's a home for all people. It's a diverse community, and we have that great fortune in Toronto of having a very diverse community, but we have to ensure that, in fact, the communities we build on the waterfront provide housing for all Canadians. So it's really homeless for all types of people, the young, the old, the wealthy, the not so well-to-do, and we're ensuring that we deliver that diversity in housing by incorporating in our plans a 20% affordable housing mix. Now, that affordability is defined by average CMHC rent, so it's not sort of council flats as in England, it's basically housing for key office workers, key city workers. We're also ensuring that 5% of the market units are low end of market. In fact, we've selected our first partner in the affordable market. The Toronto Community Housing Corporation is building our first 130 units in West Don Lands. To compete economically and attract new, creative, knowledge-based employment, our new revitalized waterfront must offer the latest in technology. So our new Blue Edge will also be leading edge. All our communities will be wired with real-time collaborating, communicating, and able to connect for both social and business innovation. We're featuring what we call iWaterfront Net, which is a low-cost, open-access, ultra-broadband infrastructure. This delivers speeds 1,000 times what you can get today at a low cost. It also is an open-access system. So in fact, not only do you get the carrier services, you get the district school board, you get the library system on there, you get every system on there. It's a model that's been used in Sweden quite effectively, and it's part of our job growth strategy. The cost back in 2000 of developing the infrastructure was estimated to be $4.3 billion. So $17 billion was the overall investment, of which $4.3 billion was the public infrastructure. And that includes soil remediation, transit, parks, public space, sewer, roads, water, and so forth. When we were established in 2001, the three governments committed $500 million each, so $1.5 billion of seed capital plus their land. So the model we're working on is invest in the land, sell the land, earn a profit, reinvest in infrastructure, and roll that money forward. So that's overall the real estate model we're using to revitalize the waterfront. In bringing the private sector in, though, we must ensure that we actually provide an attractive opportunity for them. So we're really looking to develop a high level of certainty for them. So Waterfront Toronto looks after the zoning, looks after the extraction clauses in the zoning, it looks after the parks, public spaces, infrastructure, environmental issues. So we want to leave our private sector partners with two risks, a construction risk and a market risk. Both risks they're eminently capable of handling. So we look after taking on all that upfront risk and therefore also adding value to the public land as part of the development process. But more importantly, we're looking for development partners that share our vision and partners who are committed and passionate about building a great waterfront. So let me tell you a bit about the new Blue Edge. It's 2,000 acres. I sort of describe it sometimes like eating an elephant, and you do it one bite at a time. And our bites are called precincts, and they're between 50 and 90 acres inside. So they're fairly big, healthy nibbles. So we've got two underway right now, East Bayfront and West Don Lands. And these neighborhoods will be characterized by great public realm, employment, affordable housing, and so forth. So let's talk about West Don Lands first. And before revitalization, it's 80 acres roughly. It runs from Parliament Street over to the Don River and from King Street down to the railway tracks. The good fortune here is almost all the land's owned by the provincial government, so it allows us to mandate things in our sales contract that we couldn't ordinarily control. This land's the same size as Canary Wharf in London or Battery Park City in New York, so it's a big piece of property. The key elements of this particular neighborhood are about 6,000 residential units, of which 20% will be affordable rental. It's mainly residential, in fact. 23 acres of parkland here. We're striving for LEED Gold. In fact, that's our benchmark. We're putting in district energy, so every unit will be hooked up to this thermal plant. We'll also include about 750,000 square feet of employment space, an elementary school, rec center, daycare, transit, bikeways, and so forth. And we're also including, in the lower left-hand corner of the slide, what's called a flood protection landform. This is being done for us by the local conservation authority and ORC, the Provincial Real Estate Authority. What this is protection from a major flood in the Don River watershed. If we had Hurricane Hazel hit the Don River watershed, we'd have water in the lobby downstairs. And so this berm that's being built actually protects all of the eastern part of downtown from flooding. We're using a variety of building types to create our designed urban form. So it's stacked townhouses on side streets, mid-rise for most of the streets, and a few point towers going up as high as 24 stories. The Don River Park, it will be a cornerstone to the West Donlands, and this is a park being superimposed on the flood protection landform. And that is about a 17-acre park, and it's the berm is under construction now and will be complete in 2011. Our first phase of West Donlands is the River City neighborhood, and you heard from David Wex yesterday, I believe, on he's our first development partner in the waterfront, and he's got about 1,000 market units coming on stream there next year sometime. We also have 130 affordable rental coming through TCHC. Phase 1 also includes the Don River Park, the flood protection landform, public transit down Cherry Street. If you look at West Donlands today, it's a very busy construction site. This flood protection landform is well underway. It's a 3.4 hectare engineered berm. It protects 100 hectares of downtown Toronto. The central core is about 90% complete. We're bringing in about 250 truckloads a day to fill the needed 300,000 cubic meters of soil. East Bayfront is the other precinct we're working on. And it's about a 55-acre area. It's from Jarvis Street over to Parliament and from the Gardner Expressway down to the Lakeshore. The challenge here is the south half is publicly owned by the City of Toronto, and the north half is primarily privately owned, which provides some issues for us in the sense that we have to try to control what we're doing by zoning as opposed to by contract. Because by contract we can dictate you have to hook up to district energy, you have to hook up to ultra broadband as part of the package price they deal with us. But on zoning on the private lands it's a little more difficult obviously to make those connections.